I want to teach you today. I have on a tie, and the tie is a money tie. And it's not a power tie where you got, the yellow or the red. No, this actually has a printed of $100 bills on it. The information that I want to give you today within the next 2 weeks can start bringing you in revenue, and you can do it for $200 or less.
The 24-hour MBA provides higher knowledge in less time. Take your life and business to a higher level. These sessions cannot be legally duplicated without permission. Make sure that you fuel the growth of your life and business on the right foundation, for seeds grow into their own kind. This is practical, down-to-earth business knowledge, but the origin and pricing of these sessions are divinely inspired. The price is $70 for each person who hears 2 or more sessions. You will be blessed whether you listen to one session or the complete 24-session series. If the $70 has not been paid for you personally to listen to these files, please go now and pay for them at the 24hourmba.com. Knowledge that is honestly obtained imparts a greater blessing. And now, prepare to go higher with the 24-hour MBA.
You will notice that each session of the 24-hour MBA opens and closes with prayer. The sessions are not religious and are purely business-oriented, but the organizers of the 24-hour MBA are spiritual men who believe that after you have done all that you can do, there is a higher power that helps to facilitate a greater outcome. In business and in life, you need all of the help and blessing that you can get. This is session number 13 of the 24-hour MBA. This session covers the pros and cons of various advertising media by Nathaniel Bronner.
Today, I hope to transform your business and to give you some information that can double your business within the next year. Session number 13 of the 24-hour MBA, called The Pros and Cons of Various Advertising Media. As we usually do, I would like to open us in a word of prayer. I'm going to ask my brother, C. Elijah, if he would come and just open us up this morning with a word of prayer.
Let us pray. Father, we just love you and bless you. We thank you for allowing us to be here on this wonderful day that you have created. We thank you for life and health. Father, be with our speaker. We thank you so much for the information and for everyone who is here. We bless you and magnify you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Amen. The pros and cons of various advertising media. One friend was talking to another and he said, I can't understand why you failed in business. Friend told him, too much advertising. And the first friend said, what do you mean too much advertising? You never spent a dime on advertising. Friend told him, that's true, but my competitors did. Advertising, without question, is key with every business. There's an old adage that goes, a business with no sign is a sign of no business. And advertising is truly a sign, no matter where that sign is placed. Now, today we're going to go through a lot of stuff, really have a very short time to give you something that hopefully will transform your business. But the first thing that I want you to do, I want you to think in your mind, and I want you to determine how much a new customer is worth to you. Now, most of the time we're in kind of locked, set mentalities of thinking of a sale or of a customer. We think of only that first sale or only that one sale. And I want to expand your thinking. And even if you are like 3 out of 4 businesses in the U.S., even if you are a one-person business, I want to expand your thinking to where you don't think like a one-person business, but you think like a 1,000-person business. The first thing I want you to do is I want you to realize how much is a customer worth. And I want you to think of this in terms of 5 different time frames of the first sale or the first week, the first year, a 5-year, and a 10-year value. And I just want to take just 4 very common businesses that all of us will frequent and just look at what the customer value would be as a general rough average for 4 different types of business. And just take, for example, say a florist. All of us at one time or another, we use a florist, we'll buy floral arrangements for weddings or funerals or whatever, or Valentine's Day. Say, for example, if you were a florist, the average floral arrangement probably cost about $50. Now, if you're talking about a wedding, it's a whole lot more money, but just say the average, and we're talking rough averages here. The average floral arrangement costs about $50. The average person will probably buy a floral arrangement roughly maybe once a year. Some people are more flowery than others, but as a general average, probably about once a year. If you were a florist, then you would look at the first sale as being worth $50. You would realize that the average person probably buys about $50 a year worth of flowers. They would be worth, if you procured a new customer, about $250 every 5 years and about $500 every 10 years. I want you to start thinking of customers in a 5 and a 10-year value. If you're a florist, every new customer is worth an average of $250 for 5 years to $500 for 10 years. Well, let's say you were a hairstylist or a barber. Most of us go to the hairstylist or to the barber at one point or another. The average haircut is $12 to $15 for a man. For a lady, it's about $30 to $50. The average man will go to the barber, the average woman to the hairstylist about once every 2 weeks. If you procure a new customer, first week, that customer is going to be worth $12 to $50. But over a year's period of time, for a man, for a barber, every new customer is worth $300 a year. Every new female customer for a female stylist is worth about $1,200 a year. But over 5 years, every new customer that a barber gets is worth $1,500. Every new female customer is worth $6,000. 10 years, that's $3,000 per customer for a man, $12,000 for a woman. When you start looking at a new customer, now a customer, if you're a hairstylist, a customer is now worth $6,000 every 5 years. I want you to think in terms of how much is a customer worth over an extended period of time. If you're cutting lawns, lawn service. If you have houses, you either do your own grass or you have somebody. I hire somebody to do my grass. A lawn service, about $100, depending on what. I got a huge front and backyard. It's about $100 a week as an average over the year, because in the winter season you don't use them, but it averages about $100 a week. Every year that's roughly at $100 a week, and you get your grass cut roughly every 2 to 3 weeks, depending. You're talking about $200 a month. So a customer is worth, if you have a lawn service, a customer is worth about $2,500 a year. 5 years, $12,500. 10 years, customer's worth about $25,000. Let's say you're a painter. I'm not talking about an artistic painter. I'm talking about a house painter. You paint walls. How much is a new customer worth? Well, this is not a situation where you go every week, but most people will have their house painted about every 10 years. Rooms and that kind of thing. For a year, a new customer is probably worth $500. Every 5 years, roughly $2,500. Every 10 years, about $45,000. So every new customer you procure, I want you to think of whatever business that you're in, how much is this new customer worth as an average in 5 years? And that becomes the value. So when you start thinking about advertising, most of us make the mistake of thinking about advertising and how much it returns in just the one time. Now, sometimes you have a business and a customer is just a one-time customer. If it's a one-time customer, but most businesses, customers are repeat customers. Even if it's a big item, like a car, you still buy the car every 5 to 10 years, depending upon how long you keep it. So even big ticket item, the biggest ticket item is a house. Even if you're a real estate agent, you still want to get repeat customers, but you can look at the lifetime value. If you're a good agent and the customer really loves you, they may buy 2 or 3 houses, but they're only going to buy a house every 10 years. But still, the lifetime value of the customer or the long-term value of the customer is what I want you to think about. Now, I want you to think about how large companies value you as a long-term customer. And a good example to use, everyone within the sound of my voice virtually has a cell phone. And you know that some of you have real elaborate smartphones like I do. I paid $99 for my smartphone, but the smartphone retails for about $600. I paid $99. Well, why did I pay $99? Because I signed a 2-year contract with the cell phone company. Well, why did they give me a $600 phone, which they probably paid at least $400 for? Well, why did they give me a phone that they paid $400 for $99? Because they realized my long-term value. The average cell phone bill a month is about $75 a month. If you take $75 a month, that's $900 a year. A 2-year contract is worth to the cell phone company $1,800. Now, they have given me $300 because the cell phone probably cost them $400. I got it for $99, so that means they subsidize that purchase $300. To them, they paid $300 for a new customer acquisition, but what they understood is this: they get $1,800 back. And at the end of my 2-year period, most people still don't leave the cell phone company. They may get another phone. The average length of upgrade of a phone is over 3 years. So they realize that if they lock you into a 2-year contract, it'll be at least 3 years before you get another phone and 4 or 5 years before you're going to even switch cell phone company. They know if they're getting almost $1,000 a year, they know that $300 is going to bring them back $3,000 or $5,000. I want you to think like the big boys thinking. Don't just think of the first sale. Always consider your customers and what's called the long-term value of a customer. In both of the businesses that I am involved in, we normally lose money on the first sale. And we lose money on the first sale. For example, our largest business, Bronner Brothers, does about $25 million a year worth of hair care products. The average unit of a hair care product, if you go into a Walmart or a CVS, you'll find our products in every major retail store. The average price of a unit of our product is going to be $4 to $5. If we spend money advertising, we go to all type of consumer shows, we place ads in magazines, all this stuff. So if we place the ad and we get a new customer, by the time they pay for that $4 or $5 product, which we only get a fraction of that money back, our profit from that, from the first sale, is virtually always less than what it cost us to get that customer to buy that product. Well, you say to yourself, well, if it cost you more to get the customer to buy the product, wouldn't you be losing money and wouldn't you eventually go out of business? No, because the customer buys a product the first time. But when the jar is empty, what do they have to do? They go back to the store to buy the product again. And when they go back, it is the repeat business where we make a profit. We'll lose money for the first sale, just as the cell phone company will lose money for your first month of service. But by the time they get to the 6th month of service, they're profitable. By the time they get to the 1-year mark, they're very profitable. By the time they get to the 2-year mark, they are super profitable. That's why if you look at the top 10 advertisers in the country, cell phone companies rank among those top 10. The number 1 advertiser is P&G, Procter & Gamble. Many of you not familiar with the company, but you know their brand names. Tide, Dawn detergent, all this kind of stuff. Half of the stuff you use, P&G makes. They're the number 1 advertiser. But number 2 is Comcast. Right up there in the top 5, Verizon and AT&T. They spend a huge amount of money to get you as a customer because they recognize you are worth about $5,000 to them in the next 5 or 10 years. And they know that, so they can spend the money to get you. So I want you to think in that terms, how much in my business is the average new customer worth to me over the long run? Now, there are 7 major areas of media. Television, which is number 1. Television is still the king. Television, people spend more money in television advertising than any other media. Television is number 1. Internet is rising fast, but television is still over double what the internet is. So television is number 1. The reason television is number 1? Because you watch a whole lot of TV. You watch a whole lot of TV. Your kids watch a whole lot of TV. You watch a whole lot of television. And television is focused, directed, captive attention. Television still commands the number 1 advertising dollar in the world today. You have television, you have internet, you have newspapers, magazines, radio, cinema, and outdoor. Those are the 7 major advertising categories. You got other categories like premiums, for example. You buy ink pens with your logo on it, that type of thing. But the 7 major categories are those which I just named. And basically, we've done it all. We've done television. We're still doing television right now. We've done internet. We're still doing internet. We've done newspapers. We really don't do newspaper anymore. We've done magazines. We're still doing magazines. We've done radio. We don't do very much radio anymore. Cinema, that's film advertising. Every time you go to the movies and you just happen to see a product that's in the movie that the star is using, that's called product placement. It didn't just get there by happenstance. The company that made that product paid for that to be in the movie. You go to the movies now and you got sometimes about 10 minutes worth of ads that run before your movie comes on. That's cinema advertising. So cinema, my brother is co-owner of a movie company, so we got a lot of movie placement. So we've got experience in almost all of these areas we have done, and I can talk with you and tell you about. Outdoor, that's billboard, that's bus stop advertising, that type of thing. If you're in Atlanta, you've seen our billboards around the city. We've done all of these kind of venues of advertising, and we're still doing a lot of it. And television is the granddaddy of it all. And if you look at just the biggest spot, it's the Super Bowl. You get a Super Bowl ad, there's a lot of pros with a Super Bowl ad. If you get a Super Bowl ad, you'll have 100 million people who will see your ad. They'll know about your company instantly. You'll instantly be known and recognized. All you have to do is get a Super Bowl ad. That's the pro of a Super Bowl ad. Now, the con of a Super Bowl ad is this. You got to spend $4 million for 30 seconds. And many of you, by the time you have $4 million to spend on 30 seconds, you don't even need to spend $4 million on 30 seconds. So that's the con of having to spend $4 million on an ad. And all fundamentally of these 7 areas, they all have pluses, they all have varying advantages and disadvantages. But the major con, there are 2 major cons of these 7 areas of advertising. First, it's expensive. Second, it's risky. If you do a television ad, number one, it's going to cost you to develop a very good television ad. Now, you can go sometime to the cable company. They'll come out and do you a free ad. But generally, the free ad is not real effective. The real good ads cost a whole lot of money. They cost a whole lot of money. They have a lot of creative power and talent that goes in. A real good ad, 100, 200, 300, 400, up to $1 million. Real good television ads are expensive, and it takes a lot of experience and talent to really produce a very good television ad. Then you got to pay for the ad to be run on television, which can run anywhere from the $4 million Super Bowl ad down to a $20 spot cable ad. But as a general principle, you pay for all advertising based on what's called a CPM, or a cost per 1,000 viewers or listeners who will see or hear or become exposed to your ad. So the more people who see it, the more it's going to cost you. So it's generally these 7 categories of advertising. They are generally expensive and they are generally risky. What I mean by risky is most small businesses do not have the resources or the talent to develop truly effective advertising. And if you don't have an effective ad, your ad is going to lose money, because it will cost you more in cost of acquisition than the customer is worth over their lifetime. Most small businesses cannot truly develop effective mass media advertising. And you need a budget that's considerable to really be effective in the mass media. You may need sometimes a $2 million budget depending upon what you're going to do. When we talked about distribution in that session, if you go to mass market retailers, they don't really care about your product. They don't care how good your product is. They only want to know one thing. How do you plan to move this product off the shelf? What is your advertising strategy? What are you going to do? Let me see the ads that you're going to place, the television spots that you're going to run, a radio, a magazine, or whatever it is. How are you going to move this off the shelf? That's all big retailers want to know when you go to there. So if you don't have an ad plan, you generally are not going to be able to get in mass market retailers, because that's the number one thing they want to know. How are you going to move this product off the shelf? And if you don't have a strategy and can't show them a program, 9 out of 10 times, unless you're going in under some super special program, you're not going to go on that shelf. So advertising is oftentimes critical when you're doing big market stuff, major distribution stuff. But as we have mentioned over and over 3 out of 4 businesses are single person businesses, and you're not at the point where you need a $2 million ad campaign. You're not at the point where you need a $200,000 ad campaign. You're not even at the point where you need a $20,000 ad campaign. But what you are at the point is where you could use a $200 ad campaign. And I want to see today, I want to give you an option. Do you want to know about the $200,000 program, or do you want to know about the $200 program? And I can talk to you about both of them. So I'm going to see by a show of hands how many of you are interested in knowing about the details of the $200,000 program, if you would raise your hand. Now, how many of you are interested in knowing about the $200 program? So it seems by an overwhelming show of hands, more people are interested in the $200 program than they are the $200,000 program. I want to teach you today, and perhaps this session, I have on a tie, and the tie is a money tie. And it's not a power tie where you got, the yellow or the red. No, this actually has a printed of $100 bills on it. The information that I want to give you today is something that you can use that within the next 2 weeks can start bringing you in revenue, and you can do it for $200 or less. This is what we mean by the guerrilla marketing and guerrilla business, of where you learn how to do a whole lot with a very little. When my father started in business, he was rich, but he had no money. So he was rich in training because his father and his grandfather were business people. They were farmers. They had owned stores way back in the country. It's a long historical story about how through social issues, all of the stuff was taken from them. So when my father started, he had very little material resources, but what he did have was an extensive richness and experience and training from his father and from his grandfather. Some of the things I'm going to tell you are some of the very same things that my father did years ago. They worked then, they work now, and you can do this stuff for under $200. So I want to tell you how you can start to doubling your business and spend a very small amount of money to do it. There are 3 things that you need on a tight ad budget. Now, how many of y'all got a tight ad budget? A tight ad budget, that's most people have a tight ad budget. You not only have a tight ad budget, you got a tight rent budget. You got a tight utility budget, you got a tight clothing budget. A lot of times we got tight budgets. There's just no 2 ways about that. There are some people hearing this and you just flowing with money, but it's still going to be applicable, because even the people who are flowing with money, when you really check their lifestyle, they operate on a tighter budget than the folk who don't have much money. That's why they have the money. I want to show you how you can prosper and increase your business on a tight ad budget. 3 things you need on a tight ad budget. First thing is, you need a good way for people to contact you or learn of your company. The 2 easiest ways: a website with an easy to remember name, and you need a good phone number. You first of all have to have an easy way for people to contact you and learn about your company. We've already done the seminar on a website. If you don't have a website, you absolutely need a website if you want to take your business to the next level. We have the resources to show you the link of where you can go and get your website absolutely free. Absolutely free. You can do it yourself. It will cost you nothing. And if you learn about websites and how to put it up, you need a website. You need a good name. Now, good name, you don't need some long 50-character name that people cannot remember. Most good website names are already taken. They're already registered. But that's still not a problem, because 80% of all website names that are registered are not in use. People have registered them, but they're not in use. Well, what sense is that? Why are they registered, but they're not in use? Because people have registered to resell them. And they have a business just of reselling domain names. Even if the name that you want for your business, and the way that you can tell that, how you can find out who owns a domain name, it gives you a contact letter to write to people, to ask the people, to purchase a domain name. But 80% of names that are registered are not in use. And generally, you can buy those names Most of them at a fairly reasonable price. Understand a domain name is like real estate. So if you got a real good name that people can remember, it's going to be yours for as long as you're in business. If you have to pay $200, $300, $400, $500 for a name, it's worth it. You may be able to find one that's not taken, that's easy to remember, but if you can't, most of them you can buy, and you can buy many of them for under $500. So you need a good way for people to contact you or learn about your company. Website is the best way to do that. Second best way is a phone number. Now, websites and phone numbers, they almost represent old school and new school. I'll give you a good example. Older people, if they're banking, they like to go inside and go to the teller. Young people want to go to the drive-through in the ATM. They don't want to fool with a teller. That's old school versus new school. But business is moving towards new school. If you want to be in the wave of what's here or what's coming, move to new school. Old school wants a telephone number. New school wants a website. It's best to have both. But if you have to choose between the two, choose a website. The advantages of a website versus a phone number exist. Number one, you can have a consistent, thorough presentation of your business and what you offer to everyone who goes there. And it's 24/7. If somebody wants to know about your business at 2 o'clock in the morning, well, you don't want to answer that call because you're probably asleep. Website, they can go 24/7. Holidays, it doesn't matter. It's open all of the time. And you've got a consistent pool of information that you can give the people. You can put pictures of your business, pictures of the jobs that you've done or your product or services, testimonials, all kinds of stuff on your website. If they call you, it take you 30, 45 minutes to tell them all that stuff. It saves your time. It's far more efficient. It's new school versus old school. Number one, people need a good way to contact you and learn about your business. Number two, you need to do a video and put it on YouTube. Now, that's absolutely free. YouTube is the second largest search engine right behind Google. People will search Google first and YouTube second. Now, I know you're saying, but I don't have video training. I don't have a videographer. I don't know how to do video editing. Every one of you got a video system. It's on your cell phone. Most of the modern cell phones now take movies. They're movies that they shoot. Now, here in this building, we've got top-notch pro stuff, and we've had it for the last 19 years. The cell phones now take better video than our pro stuff did 15 years ago. All you got to do is get out in the sunlight where your lighting is excellent, shoot your testimonial or your promotional video, upload it to YouTube, put you some good search words in there about your business so they can find it easy. It doesn't cost you anything. So do the stuff. That's why I said for $200, first of all, the YouTube video costs nothing. Put your website, put your phone number in it, put all the stuff about your business, and you put it on YouTube. Absolutely nothing. If you don't have stuff in there about your business on YouTube that's absolutely free, you need to get it done, and you need to get it done ASAP. Take your cell phone out, go have your friend video while you stand there. And if you want to go to a pro upgrade, that's fine, but you don't need to. And it's far better for you to have a B quality video on YouTube that sells than wait 10 years trying to get an A quality and you never get it up there. This is simple. It's easy to do. All of you can do it. There's no excuse. If you don't have a cell phone that shoots video, you know someone who does. Your child does. So if you don't know someone who does, and this stuff is easy to do, but most businesses don't have it done. First, you need a good way for people to contact you or learn of your company. That's a good, easy to remember website or phone number. Second, you need a commercial on YouTube. Third, you need billboards. Now, when I say billboards, most of you will instantly think of the billboards that you see on major expressways and major highways. And we've bought those, we have some now, but that's not what I'm talking about. Billboards are simply outdoor advertising. I'm going to tell you, and most billboards that are on major expressways, those billboards run anywhere as an average. They run about $3,000 a month. That's what, some go from $3,000, they go up to $10,000 a month. So when you see billboards with a lot of traffic, those people are paying a pretty decent penny for that. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a different type of billboard. There are roughly 200 people enrolled in the live sessions of the 24-hour MBA. I went out and looked at the cars outside. I looked at all of the cars outside. There are virtually no signs on any of the cars outside. The first type of billboard that you need is a rolling billboard, and it needs to be on your car. Now, let me tell you why you don't have it on there, and let me tell you why you need it on there. I parked my car. It's actually one of my cars. I parked it right outside of the door that you come in. Did you all see the little blue car? What was on that little blue car? Everybody can remember what was on that car. I drive that car 90% of the time. The Lexus outside is mine too. I had someone drive it this morning. It has magnetic signs, but the little car is what I drive most of the time. And it has do42.com on that car. Almost everybody remembered it. The point is, when I drive that car, it's a rolling billboard. When I first got it and I got it wrapped, I learned some things about wrapping that startled me. First of all, I found out this: companies will pay you to wrap your car and drive around. They pay anywhere from $300 to $900 a month for them to wrap your car and just for you to do your regular driving. Now, if a company will pay, now you have to meet certain criteria. It has to be in a big city. You can't park your car at night in a garage. They want certain profile of people, people who are mothers or who are around a lot of people who influence, that kind of thing. But for the most part, they pay anywhere from $300 to $900 a month to wrap your car and for you to just do your normal driving. They have other companies that will pay for the gas for your car. Now, this is the point. If other businesses recognize the value of a sign on your car and will pay you $300 to $900 a month or will pay for your gas, why don't you have your own sign on your own car? This is the point, and this is one of those things that you can get done for a very little amount of money, but it has a big impact. And that's why I began with you understanding the value or the long-term value of a customer. And let me just tell you about even the little car that has do42.com on it. And I know some of you are saying, but that's not a business. You don't make any money from that. It is my business. It's not my money-making business, but see, my other business is I help people. I change people's lives. I want to elevate them to a different level. To be honest, I make enough money from my business where I don't have to make money from my spiritual venture. So I make my money from my business. So when I drive that car, I went to South Carolina last week, and we just put on the Do42 website for people when they go and register. We just put on there where they came from. I saw when a lady came through and she had registered, saw on a car in Orangeburg, South Carolina. And I was just driving through. But people will look at your car. Now, I want you to think, when you are driving and you see a car go by with a magnetic sign on it that says something, do you read it? Yes, you read it. If you're standing at a stoplight and there's a car in front of you and they have something on their back window, do you read it? Yes, you read it. Matter of fact, not only do you read the magnetic signs on the car, not only do you read the sign on the back window, you read the bumper stickers. And most people will have bumper stickers on their car talking about mess, talking about stuff that brings them no money whatsoever. And they will not put a sign on their car that advertises their business. People, the average person in America, the average adult drives about 15,000 miles a year. That's 41 miles a day. How many people do you think see your car in every mile that you drive? Just if you had to take a guess, what would you think? How many people, especially in a city, and if you're down in a country where you can drive 15 miles, you see nothing but cows, that's different. But if you're talking in the city, how many people even if you're on the expressway, there are always cars going by. How many people do you think see your car per mile for every mile that you drive? Just take a guess. 5, some said 100. I would say at least a bare rock bottom minimum, a bare minimum of 3 people. And that's probably super low. But a bare minimum of 3 people will see your car for every mile you drive. So if you drive 41 miles a day, that is 123 people a day who will see your advertising and your sign. And suppose, if it's roughly 120 people a day, how many is that a week? Over 700 people a week. And that's based on 3 people a day. It's probably closer to 5 to 10 people per mile actually see your car. By putting a sign on your car You can expose your business to 1,000 people a week as a conservative estimate. Now, out of those 1,000, suppose you just get one customer. One customer. My brother James was telling me about they just got new carpet in their house. Where did you get that carpet from? Just shout it out.
Car sign.
Car sign. He saw a sign on a car. What did it say?
They have a certain price for a room of carpet.
How much was the price?
My wife saw it. I don't.
His wife saw it and wrote it down, but I think he told me it was $99 a room or something like that. So they saw the sign on a car, says $99 a room for carpet. They called the number. They didn't just get one room, got the whole house done. So how much is a customer worth? That's why if you got, let's just say you didn't even get one a week. Let's say 1,000 people saw your car, but you only got one a month. Out of 4,000 people, only one response, you got one new customer. How much is a new customer worth to your business? And if you got one a month, that's 12 a year. But if you got one a week, that's 50 new customers a year. Many of you, if you got one new customer a week and added 50 a year, how many customers is that in 5 years if you have an 80% retention rate? That's more customers than you can handle. And it would all come just from you putting a sign on your car. There are two reasons why we don't have signs on our cars. But I can tell you just with mine, every Wednesday I'll take off. I usually go somewhere. Sometimes I go down to a little South Georgia town and I'll spend the day there. I stay at a small hotel. I had gone there on a Wednesday. The hotel has a refrigerator in the room, but I had some stuff I wanted to bring back. But I didn't have a cooler with me. It was about 10 o'clock at night, and I knew the only place I was going to be able to get a cooler was a Walmart. I put it in my phone to see how far the Walmart was, because it was open 24 hours. It was 30 miles away. I said, that's too far. But I heard a spiritual unction say, go get the cooler at Walmart. 10 o'clock at night. I was like, well, good. But anyway, I've learned to listen to the voice of my inner guidance. And I drove over to Walmart. I'm in my little car with Do 42 on it. Drove to Walmart, bought my cooler. On the way back, coming down a little dark highway, it's about 11 o'clock at night. I see blue lights in the back. Nobody in front of me, so I figured he's after me. But I wasn't worried about it. I said, look, if the Lord has led me out here, I'm not worried about it. I pull over. Fella walks over to me and he said, what you doing out here this time of night? I told him, I said, well, I'm staying over in a certain little town and I came to the Walmart to get a cooler. I showed him a cooler, my bag and all. He said, oh. He said, you know how fast you were going? I said, probably about 45. He said, you were doing 51. It's a 35 mile an hour zone, but the 45 mile zone was right next to it. So I knew he really didn't pull me over for that. He said, what's this 42? So the real reason, and this was a state trooper, the real reason he pulled me over, he saw my car and he wanted to know what was do42.com. I told him I had some cards and I handed him 2 cards. And I told him, I said, look, I didn't even want to come out here, but I was just led spiritually to come out here for some odd reason. It may have been because you need to do 42. And he took the card. He said, you may be right. Have a good day. Gave me no ticket, nothing. If you put a sign on your car, even the police, when you go by, they will say, what is that? Because they need services just like everyone else. Everyone will see the sign if you just have the wisdom to put the sign on your car. There are 2 big reasons why we don't have signs on our car. The first reason is we don't realize the value. I didn't know the value until I got, my daddy always had a sign on his car. He would always have a product sign on his car. He knew that instinctively 50 years ago. He always had a magnetic sign on his car that advertised a product. Everywhere he went, he always had a sign on his car. I didn't understand how much other companies valued it until I went to get mine wrapped. And I saw these companies paying all this money just for you to drive around with their product or their company on your car. And then I did the logistics of it and the analysis. I said, yeah, a lot of people see it. A lot of people see it. A lot of people see your car, and they will notice your company. If you have a sign on your car, you read it, they will read it. The average car payment is about $420 a month. Do you realize if you put a sign on your car, you will likely generate enough business to pay for your car and to pay for your gas. We just don't know. And if you put a sign on your back window, not only will it sell every time you're stopped somewhere at a red light, but when you know how those signs work, we have our bus with signs on the windows, and you can't see inside very good, but you can see outside very clearly. If you put a sign on your back window, thieves can't see in your car, but you can see out. So it's a theft deterrent. So it has a lot of advantages, but the main reason, it brings you in money. Now, a full car wrap costs anywhere from $1,000 to $5,000. A full car wrap is kind of expensive, but the magnetic signs are not. They cost about $25. You can get 2 signs for $50, and I got some on sale for $10. You can get magnetic signs that are very inexpensive that could very well double your business every single year. The back window signs cost about $100 to $150 depending upon how big a car you have. You got a small window, maybe $100. A bigger window is about $150. But that's why I wanted you to understand the long-term value of a customer. How much is a customer worth? And if you just get a customer every week or two from having your car decorated, how much is that worth? The reason, number 2, that we don't have our cars decorated is because we think it will cheapen our stylish look. That's what really, that's one of the major, we think it'll cheapen our stylish look. We want to be sharp when we drive. And we figure that a sign on our car is going to downgrade our look. I had an experience with someone I was advising. They had gotten fired from their job. They had a small side business, and the business was struggling. They were always complaining about money. I said, look, why don't you get some magnetic signs and put on your car, and that will help advertise your business because you need additional customers. He said, man, I don't have money for that. My money's too tight. I said, the signs cost $30. They're $15 a piece. You got 30. Oh, no. My money's too tight. Money is too tight. But he had a very sharp car. His car was real sharp. Didn't hardly have money to put gas in the car. Struggling like mad. Couldn't pay his bills, complaining all the time about money. Real sharp car. Didn't have $30 to buy the signs. About 2 weeks later, he got in an accident. Small accident, he rear-ended somebody. The insurance deductible was $250. He paid it. Now, the car was still drivable, with just a little dent in the fender, but it messed up his ride. It messed up the look of his ride. Didn't mess up the drivability. It drove, when you couldn't even tell it had a dent in the front bumper, but he couldn't drive around with a dented front bumper. He got the $250 up to pay the deductible to get his car fixed, but claimed he couldn't get the $30 to put signs. And then I understood the real reason. The real reason had nothing to do with the $30. The real reason, he didn't want the signs on his ride. And people, I will tell you this. It's better for you to have some signs on your ride than to have your ride on the back of a tow truck repossessed with no sign. A business with no sign is a sign of no business. And you're under a misconception that it will lower your status image. I've had that car and I've had it wrapped for about 4 years. So I've driven it somewhere, everywhere. I have never once had anyone talk about the sign or the wrap in a degrading manner. It's always been, what is do42.com? What is it? Every case, unanimously, they have always been inquisitive, and most people won't ask. They just go to the website to see what it is. That's why you've got to have on your sign your full contact information so people can get a hold of you very easily. If you think that it's going to mess up your status, that's not true. When people see a business sign, it actually elevates your status because they know you're about business. You have to change mentality. See, if you're going to change money, you got to change mentality. Change mentality, you will change money. If you're ashamed to have a sign on your car, you're ashamed of the new customers flooding in. Put that sign on both sides, put you a sign in your back window, and watch what begins to happen to your business. It will not degrade your public or status image. It absolutely won't. You see, even with fine cars, most of the people who have money, they don't spend all that money on all those luxury cars anyway. The stats have shown that 61% of the people who earn $250,000 a year or more, none of them have real fancy luxury cars. They buy the same cars that you and I and the rest of the public buy. The number one cars among 61% of the people who earn over $250,000 a year are Toyotas, Hondas, and Fords. The number one car among millionaires in the U.S. is the Ford 150 pickup truck. Because when people have money, they don't give a hoot about trying to impress you. They really don't. When people really have money and who are really confident about themselves, they don't give a hoot about trying to impress. They know they got the money. They don't worry about whether you know it or not. Usually, most of the time, with most of the fancy cars, in so many cases, you know, they used to have the song about leaning to the side. Most of the time, we're leaning to the side because the note's so heavy on us, it's got us leaning. You need to put a sign on your car. It will not degrade your status. It will increase your business, and you can get those signs. You can get all this stuff for under $200 and to change your business and change the direction. Now, there are some tips I want to use you just for the signs. I'm not going to talk about any television or any of the other stuff. In the Q&A, if you got some questions, ask me. I can probably answer them, but I want to focus on stuff you can do for $200 or less and really make a change in your business starting today. All of the links of where to get the stuff. It'll give you the link where you can go to get the signs, the back window, all that stuff, absolutely cheap. The website stuff, cheap, even phone numbers. Toll-free numbers are not necessary, but depending upon the scope of your business, they become a big advantage. See, a toll-free number now, to be honest, is not a real advantage because everyone has cell phone. All the cell phone has free nationwide long distance. So toll-free has no advantage. The only advantage it has is image. When people see an 800 number, they know you're a business and they know you're serious. If you see 1-800 something, you know that's a business, you know they're serious. You generally can't get an 800 number because all the 800 numbers are taken up. No, they're not. You have to know how to go get them. And you have to buy them. Sometimes you may have to pay $200, $300, $400 for an 800 number, but it's like a website. A good number, the